Sophia Blake looked at him and said softly, "Are you always this arrogant? Or just with the help?" Ethan Montgomery, billionaire and master of Manhattan's financial skyline, froze mid-smile, the words hitting sharper than any boardroom critique he had ever faced. The restaurant hummed around them, crystal chandeliers scattering light across polished tables, the hum of conversation blending with the soft clinking of silverware. Yet all Ethan could notice was Sophia's calm gaze, steady and unflinching. He leaned back, tapping his Patek Philippe against the table, a gesture meant to assert control, a gesture that now seemed hollow against her composed poise. I'm just asking a question," he said, voice slightly tight. But Sophia's faint smirk told him she already knew the weight of her own advantage. Her hands moved with the ease of someone completely in control, placing plates and glasses with deliberate grace, every small action broadcasting quiet authority. She wasn't loud. She didn't need to be. Every step, every glance, every tilt of her head drew his attention further, made him realize the contrast between her outward humility and the sharp intelligence he had misjudged. Ethan had come to this room expecting compliance, expecting flustered apologies, maybe a smile nervously offered in submission. Instead, he found Sophia surveying the space like a conductor, orchestrating service with the ease of someone who understood the rhythm of the room, the flow of people, the nuances of subtle communication that no boardroom deal could teach. "You seem confident," he said, attempting casualness, but the tremor in his tone betrayed him. Sophia paused, eyes catching his for a fraction of a second before returning to her work. "Confidence comes from knowing your value," she replied evenly, voice low, carrying a resonance that made Ethan pause again, this time in genuine reflection. She carried trays, but carried herself more, upright, measured, aware. The laughter of other diners, the soft chatter, even the clatter of dishes faded into the background as he realized he was no longer the center of the equation. She was. Ethan tried to mask it, a half-smile, an easy comment about a menu item, but she deflected with practiced subtlety, correcting an order that had been mistaken and offering a quiet suggestion that salvaged a potentially awkward situation without raising her voice, without a single gesture of impatience. And then she dropped the quiet bomb, just a slight lift of her chin as she said, "By the way, I bought the restaurant last week." Ethan blinked, frozen, the card in his hand suddenly feeling insignificant, the veneer of wealth and power he had carried into the room seeming inconsequential. The staff continued moving, oblivious to the tension brewing, but he noticed everything. The shift in her demeanor, the flicker of a smile, the way she walked through tables with a blend of courtesy and command that made him rethink every assumption he had made about her in the last 30 seconds. He could see it in her eyes, quiet strength, intelligence, a calm that came from experience, not arrogance. Every instinct he had about dominance and control faltered as he watched her handle a demanding customer with precision, redirecting a complaint without fluster, smoothing over a miscommunication while maintaining authority, yet never raising her voice, never breaking composure. You own this place?" he finally asked, voice low, betraying both astonishment and curiosity. Sophia nodded, placing the last glass on the table, her gaze soft but unwavering. "Yes. And I intend to run it exactly how I see fit." Ethan's chest tightened, a mix of admiration, shock, and that unfamiliar feeling of being outmaneuvered washing over him. He realized, perhaps too late, that he had underestimated the quiet ones, the ones who moved silently but with purpose, the ones who measured each action and let it speak louder than any title or wealth. The room resumed its usual flow, but for Ethan, the air had changed. He sat there, digesting a truth he had ignored too long. Power could shift without noise, authority could emerge without fanfare, and a waitress, dainty, composed, and understated, could command a presence that humbled a billionaire in seconds. Sophia walked past him toward the kitchen, a soft tap of heels on the hardwood, eyes forward, every step a declaration, leaving Ethan staring, heart racing, mind recalibrating, and curiosity burning, knowing this was only the beginning, that the full story of her intelligence, her strategic mind, and the way she wielded quiet influence had yet to unfold. Sophia Blake returned to the service line, adjusting the crisp black vest over her white blouse, the soft fabric brushing against her forearms as she moved with deliberate care, her eyes scanning the tables with a practiced calm. Ethan Montgomery remained seated, his hands resting lightly on the polished mahogany surface, observing her movements with a mix of fascination and incredulity. The restaurant smelled of fresh bread and roasted coffee, the scent mingling with the subtle aroma of herbs from the kitchen, yet Ethan barely registered it, his attention wholly captured by the way Sophia orchestrated the staff and navigated the dining floor with quiet authority. A couple at a corner table appeared flustered by a misplacement of silverware, but Sophia intercepted with a gentle, precise correction, whispering instructions that seemed to ripple through the staff like a silent command, every gesture efficient, every smile measured, every word minimal yet impactful. Ethan noted the way she kept her posture straight, her chin lifted slightly, shoulders relaxed yet commanding, conveying a sense of control that did not need words to assert itself. He found himself leaning forward, elbows on the table, tracing the subtle choreography of her day-to-day management, recognizing the skill it took to maintain order, composure, and grace simultaneously. A server approached her with a question about a special request from a VIP guest, and she listened for only a moment before nodding, her decision prompt and decisive, demonstrating an understanding of both human nature and operational logistics that surpassed expectations. Ethan's eyes followed her to the side station, where she balanced a tray of desserts while simultaneously coordinating with the kitchen, her movements fluid, practiced, each action precise, yet seemingly effortless. He could see the respect she commanded without raising her voice, the quiet influence she exerted over those around her, the subtle authority embedded in each glance and gesture. For a moment, Ethan allowed himself to imagine the previous version of this restaurant, before Sophia had taken ownership, wondering how different it had felt, how much more ordinary, and how easily he would have dismissed any waitress in this role. But Sophia's presence altered the entire dynamic. She was a force contained within stillness, her efficiency and poise radiating power without aggression, without demand, without pretense. A customer approached with a request for a menu modification, and Sophia engaged with calm clarity, offering alternatives, guiding their choice while maintaining the dignity of both the patrons and her team. Ethan observed her from across the floor, noting the way she navigated interactions with patrons who assumed they could dictate the pace and tone of service, yet were subtly redirected by her competence and awareness, leaving them satisfied, unoffended, yet clearly aware that she commanded the space. The sunlight streamed through the large windows, glinting off polished glass and silverware, and Ethan realized he had not blinked for several moments, caught in a rare state of reflection as he measured the quiet authority of someone he had previously underestimated. Sophia moved toward the front, clearing plates with smooth efficiency, exchanging brief, polite words with a hesitant guest whose nerves were softened by her presence, her tone warm yet firm, her hands steady. Ethan felt an unfamiliar tension in his chest, a mixture of admiration and astonishment, recognizing that she had orchestrated the environment and the people in it with a mastery that no wealth, no title, no corporate power could replicate. As she returned to the line, her gaze met his briefly, calm, assessing, unyielding, and he knew in that instant that his assumptions about influence and power had been challenged in ways he could not yet fully articulate. Sophia picked up a notepad to review the next table orders, her pen poised lightly, her fingers tapping a subtle rhythm, a silent indication of thoughtfulness, attention, and control. Ethan watched as she facilitated the next few minutes, moving between tables with the quiet certainty of someone who had earned respect not through intimidation, but through skill, intelligence, and unshakable composure. The staff responded naturally, seamlessly, under her guidance, their movements synchronized yet unforced, their respect evident yet unspoken. Ethan's mind raced, calculating the juxtaposition of humility and authority, the way a person could possess both and wield them with subtlety, leaving him unsettled yet undeniably drawn to understanding the depth of her capability. Sophia paused briefly at the end of the aisle, glancing toward the kitchen with a faint, knowing smile, and Ethan realized that this moment, like all the small orchestrations she performed, had been intentional, a demonstration of quiet mastery and presence. He could feel the shift, not loud or overt, but undeniable, a recognition that the person who had seemed ordinary now held the power to redefine the environment, command respect, and challenge assumptions without raising a voice or demanding attention. He sat back, silent for the first time in hours, absorbing the weight of this revelation, knowing that the story of Sophia Blake was only beginning to unfold, that her intelligence, her calm, and her skill would continue to challenge and captivate, leaving him to wonder what lessons remained to be revealed as the afternoon progressed and what other subtle triumphs she had yet to display. Sophia Blake approached the next table with measured steps, her black leather shoes clicking softly against the polished hardwood floor, the sunlight streaming through the tall windows catching the edges of the crystal glasses and casting gentle reflections across the white tablecloths. Ethan Montgomery watched intently, noting every movement, every gesture, every subtle command embedded in the way she interacted with the staff and patrons alike. She smiled at a family of four who had been waiting slightly too long for their appetizers, bending just enough to offer a suggestion on how to accommodate their preferences, her voice calm, precise, and unhurried, carrying an air of authority that required no volume to assert itself. A server hesitated with a complicated order for a VIP guest, and Sophia intervened without hesitation, guiding the staff member with a brief nod, a quiet word, and a tilt of her head that conveyed trust, clarity, and expectation simultaneously. Ethan realized he had never observed such seamless control exercised with gentleness, a presence that commanded respect without a single raised tone. Patrons seemed to instinctively follow the rhythm she set, their minor frustrations softened by the precision and attentiveness with which she moved through the room, attending to both the immediate needs and the underlying flow of the service. Sophia adjusted a wine glass with a flick of her wrist, checking the placement of cutlery with a swift glance, all while maintaining eye contact with the table she had just served, ensuring satisfaction with a careful, almost imperceptible reassurance. Ethan could feel the shift in his own perception, the subtle recalibration of power and expectation, as he recognized that the control he assumed he wielded in any environment did not apply here. She had crafted an order of operations, a hierarchy of attention, that surpassed even the most meticulous corporate plan. As Sophia returned to the service line, she communicated with the kitchen through concise gestures and soft words, ensuring timing, quality, and presentation aligned perfectly, the staff responding instinctively, almost as if her presence had prearranged their cooperation. Ethan's gaze followed her to the front, where a couple of new customers had arrived, slightly flustered by a misplaced reservation. Sophia greeted them with a warm yet steady tone, confirming their preferences, guiding them to their table, and smoothing over the initial awkwardness without making them feel rushed or unwelcome. The elegance in her movements, the assurance in her voice, the clarity in her instructions created a tableau of competence and quiet authority that drew Ethan into reflection on his own approach to leadership and influence. Each action she took was deliberate, each step calculated, yet nothing felt forced. There was an authenticity in her confidence, a natural assurance born of experience and intelligence. As the lunch service continued, Sophia moved from table to table, assessing needs, anticipating potential issues, preemptively adjusting for comfort and satisfaction, the rhythm of her management precise yet unnoticeable to those not paying close attention. Ethan found himself unconsciously mirroring her focus, taking in the subtleties of her control, the calm command she exerted without drawing attention to herself, and realizing that influence could be wielded not only through position, wealth, or volume, but through presence, discernment, and quiet decisiveness. The afternoon light shifted, highlighting the golden tones of the restaurant, and Sophia, moving gracefully between a table of 3 executives and a family celebrating a birthday, maintained her composure, ensuring each interaction was handled with dignity and respect. Ethan Montgomery sat back, processing the lesson unfolding before him, aware that he was witnessing mastery expressed not in overt dominance, but in the seamless integration of skill, judgment, and humility, leaving him simultaneously awed, humbled, and increasingly captivated by the depth of capability contained in this one seemingly ordinary woman who had transformed the space into a reflection of her own quiet excellence. And he knew without question that the narrative of her command, intelligence, and subtle influence had only begun to reveal itself, promising further revelations and challenges in the moments yet to come. Sophia Blake paused at the corner of the main dining area, surveying the restaurant as sunlight shifted across the tables, reflecting off the polished silverware and the crystal glassware, creating a mosaic of light that seemed to dance across the room. Ethan Montgomery observed her from his seat near the window, the weight of the realization settling in that the control he thought he had was only an illusion, and that every action Sophia took carried intention, thought, and subtle authority. She moved with a rhythm that commanded attention without demanding it, greeting a new couple with a warm but firm tone, asking precise questions about their preferences, and subtly guiding their choices to ensure their experience was seamless and pleasant. The staff followed her lead instinctively, a silent acknowledgement of the respect she had earned through consistent competence and calm decisiveness. Ethan noticed the way she managed the timing of service, the flow of dishes from kitchen to table, the adjustments she made to accommodate small errors, all while maintaining a composed, approachable demeanor that put patrons at ease. A guest requested a special accommodation, and Sophia handled it with effortless grace, explaining alternatives and ensuring their satisfaction without drawing attention to the challenge or the correction. Ethan's eyes tracked her movements, noting the way she engaged with each interaction, the subtle cues she gave to the staff, the quiet confidence that allowed her to manage complexity without raising her voice or showing frustration. She paused briefly to coordinate with the kitchen, her gestures minimal but precise, her tone calm, her presence commanding. Each step, each glance, each instruction was measured, deliberate, and effective, conveying competence and authority through quiet action rather than overt assertion. Ethan could feel the shift in the room, the subtle recalibration of attention and influence, and he recognized that Sophia's presence had changed the atmosphere completely, transforming the environment through skill, awareness, and the understated power of calm, intelligent leadership. He reflected on the way she anticipated needs before they arose, corrected errors before they escalated, and maintained a sense of order, dignity, and efficiency that drew admiration from staff and patrons alike. The afternoon light deepened, casting warm tones across the polished wood and white linens, highlighting the smooth, controlled movements of Sophia as she balanced multiple tasks with poise, confidence, and an almost imperceptible authority. Ethan sat back, watching her with a sense of awe and quiet respect, realizing that this was more than management. It was an art form, a demonstration of presence and intelligence that commanded influence without any need for volume, dominance, or pretense. A server approached with a minor dilemma regarding a special order, and Sophia addressed it with concise clarity, guiding the staff through a solution that was seamless, efficient, and unnoticeable to the untrained eye, yet profoundly effective. Ethan's mind raced as he internalized each detail, each decision, each subtle movement, understanding that the quiet power Sophia exhibited had more impact than any overt authority he had ever exercised. Patrons responded naturally to her guidance, following cues without being aware of them, smiling and relaxing as their expectations were exceeded, their minor frustrations alleviated by her foresight and measured interventions. Sophia returned to the line, adjusting orders, making notes, communicating with staff through brief words and gestures, each interaction reinforcing her presence, competence, and control. Ethan observed silently, absorbing the lesson, recognizing that true authority could be expressed through calm, deliberate, intelligent action, that influence could be wielded through observation, precision, and respect, and that in this quiet, unassuming woman lay a mastery of space, people, and outcomes that left him both humbled and captivated, aware that the full measure of her capability was only beginning to reveal itself, and that the moments yet to unfold would continue to challenge his assumptions and expand his understanding of what power, leadership, and dignity truly meant within these walls. Sophia Blake moved toward the service counter with a quiet grace, her fingers brushing lightly over the polished wood as she adjusted the arrangement of menus and cutlery, each motion deliberate and precise. Ethan Montgomery watched from his seat, his gaze fixed on her every move, noticing the subtle efficiency with which she coordinated the staff, directing attention where it was needed without raising her voice or disrupting the flow of the restaurant. A waiter approached hesitantly with a request regarding a complicated dietary restriction from a table of 4, and Sophia listened with a brief nod, offering a clear, concise solution that addressed both the guest's needs and the practical limitations of the kitchen. Her tone remained calm and measured, soft enough to reassure, but firm enough to command attention, demonstrating a quiet authority that made the staff respond instinctively and efficiently. Ethan observed how she managed the timing of the meal service, ensuring appetizers arrived before drinks ran out, coordinating dessert deliveries with the rhythm of conversation, and preemptively adjusting for any potential delay, all while maintaining a composed, approachable presence. He noticed the way patrons relaxed under her direction, their slight frustrations or confusion replaced by satisfaction and ease, unaware of the meticulous control guiding their experience. Sophia paused at a corner table to check on a family celebrating a birthday, crouching slightly to meet the youngest child at eye level, offering gentle guidance on selecting a dessert, her eyes kind yet perceptive, her voice soft yet confident, ensuring the interaction was personal and memorable without commanding attention. Ethan leaned forward, taking in the subtlety of her influence, the way her quiet confidence altered the atmosphere of the entire room, creating an environment where order, satisfaction, and respect existed simultaneously. He saw how she managed interactions with patrons who had complicated requests, turning potential irritation into appreciation through subtle communication, careful attention, and unwavering composure. Each gesture, each glance, each brief instruction conveyed her understanding of people, timing, and perception, allowing her to orchestrate a seamless dining experience that reflected both her intelligence and her sense of dignity. The afternoon sunlight highlighted the subtle movements of her hands as she adjusted a wine glass, checked the alignment of utensils, and guided the staff through minor adjustments with gestures that were almost imperceptible yet entirely effective. Ethan felt a deep respect growing within him as he watched her navigate the complexities of service, patron expectations, and staff coordination, all without the need for authority, loud commands, or visible exertion of power. Sophia's presence dominated the room, not through overt action, but through careful, calculated control, her intelligence and composure radiating in every interaction. Ethan realized he had underestimated her not only in capability, but in foresight, recognizing that her calm authority had transformed the restaurant into a well-tuned system, a reflection of her skill, judgment, and quiet strength. Patrons responded naturally to her guidance, smiles appearing on faces as minor challenges were resolved seamlessly, the ambience remaining pleasant and composed. Sophia returned to the line, checking notes, coordinating with the kitchen, and observing the dining room with the practiced eyes of someone who understood both people and process. Ethan's admiration deepened as he saw the careful balance she maintained between presence, discretion, and influence, realizing that her quiet mastery of the space and her staff was a testament to skill, intelligence, and presence. He watched her approach a new table with the same calm authority, engaging politely, directing subtly, and ensuring every need was met with precision, noting the efficiency, care, and quiet dignity she maintained in every action. The afternoon progressed, each interaction reinforcing the truth that Sophia's control and intelligence shaped the entire environment, leaving Ethan both awed and reflective, understanding that her ability to manage, influence, and inspire respect through quiet, deliberate actions was far greater than any display of wealth or power he had ever known. And he knew that the moments yet to come would continue to reveal the depth of her capability, leaving him captivated and eager to witness how she would navigate the remainder of the day with the same calm mastery he had observed from the very beginning. Sophia Blake paused briefly at the doorway leading to the back section of the restaurant, her hands lightly resting on the frame as she surveyed the activity of the dining floor. Ethan Montgomery continued to watch her, the realization growing heavier with each passing moment that the composure, intelligence, and authority she displayed were not just reactions, but a reflection of deliberate mastery. She adjusted a chair for a guest who had arrived slightly early, then moved smoothly to assist a young family struggling to manage their orders, her movements fluid and unhurried, each gesture purposeful, each glance carrying reassurance. A server approached, uncertainty in his eyes, and Sophia addressed the question with a calm, direct answer, providing guidance that was clear, efficient, and executed with precision, her tone carrying authority without volume, her posture composed and steady. Ethan noticed the way she anticipated the needs of both patrons and staff, the subtle shifts in her attention that allowed her to prevent small issues from escalating, maintaining harmony and efficiency in a space that could easily become chaotic. She moved to the front, acknowledging each arriving guest with a polite nod, a brief smile, and a quiet word, establishing rapport while maintaining the boundaries of her role, balancing courtesy with control, empathy with leadership. The light from the large windows highlighted the crisp lines of her uniform and the careful movements of her hands as she carried plates, coordinated staff, and observed the overall rhythm of the service, demonstrating a quiet command of every detail that passed unnoticed by most but was immediately apparent to Ethan. He saw her manage the timing of multiple tables simultaneously, checking on diners while delegating tasks to staff with subtle gestures, a raised eyebrow, a slight tilt of the head, ensuring that every interaction flowed seamlessly. Sophia approached a table with a reservation for a VIP guest, listening attentively to their requests, confirming details, and providing solutions with calm authority, the interaction smooth and respectful, the guests unaware of the strategic orchestration taking place behind the scenes. Ethan found himself studying the way she maintained eye contact while communicating, how she balanced warmth with firmness, making both staff and patrons feel acknowledged and respected, her influence pervasive yet quiet, a testament to her skill, intelligence, and presence. As she returned to the line to review upcoming orders, she communicated with the kitchen in a series of brief, deliberate words and gestures, coordinating timing, presentation, and sequence without raising her voice, demonstrating mastery over both human and operational elements. Ethan's attention followed every movement, noting the subtle yet effective ways she directed the environment, creating an atmosphere of calm, competence, and efficiency, her authority recognized instinctively by staff and patrons alike. He realized the breadth of her capability, the seamless integration of skill, foresight, and human understanding that allowed her to control the space without needing to assert dominance, to guide outcomes without force, and to earn respect without demanding it. Each interaction reinforced his growing awareness that true influence could be expressed quietly, strategically, and empathetically, that mastery was not loud but precise, not boastful but deliberate, and that Sophia Blake exemplified the kind of calm, intelligent leadership that reshaped perception and commanded attention effortlessly. He leaned back, absorbing the nuances of her control, her foresight, and the quiet confidence that permeated every corner of the restaurant, knowing that the story of her skill, judgment, and authority was unfolding continuously before him, and that the moments yet to come would continue to demonstrate the depth, subtlety, and power of her presence in ways that demanded observation, reflection, and respect. Sophia Blake approached the final table of the afternoon service with measured confidence, her movements fluid, her presence calm, yet commanding, and Ethan Montgomery could not look away, captivated by the seamless way she balanced attention between the patrons, the staff, and the rhythm of the room. She greeted a group of business guests, listening carefully to their requests, offering solutions that accommodated their preferences while maintaining the integrity and efficiency of the service, each word deliberate, each gesture precise. Ethan observed how she handled the timing of their courses, coordinating with the kitchen with subtle gestures, brief nods, and quiet words that ensured everything arrived exactly as it should, maintaining flow without raising her voice or creating tension. Patrons responded, instinctively, smiling, relaxed, and satisfied, unaware of the orchestration behind their experience, the smooth balance of timing, attention, and care that Sophia maintained effortlessly. She moved from table to table, adjusting settings, confirming orders, and ensuring that the staff was synchronized, each movement precise, each glance calculated, conveying authority without overt assertion, creating an atmosphere of respect, order, and calm energy. Ethan found himself leaning forward, analyzing the subtle cues, the way she corrected small mistakes without embarrassment, the way she anticipated potential problems before they arose, and the way her calm presence influenced everyone in the room without a single raised voice. A waiter approached with a question about a complex request, and Sophia addressed it with a brief nod, a few carefully chosen words, and a slight shift in posture that communicated exactly what was expected, resulting in immediate understanding and action. Ethan's mind raced as he realized that her authority was both invisible and undeniable, her quiet mastery more impactful than any command or gesture of overt dominance, her influence extending seamlessly across the restaurant, the staff, and the patrons alike. She paused at a table where a child had a question about the menu, crouching slightly to meet the eye level of the young guest, answering patiently, guiding with warmth, clarity, and confidence, transforming a potentially confusing moment into an experience of clarity and delight. Ethan could see the way her intelligence, composure, and empathy converged to create a space that was simultaneously efficient, welcoming, and dignified, a living demonstration of leadership expressed quietly, deliberately, and effectively. She returned to the service line, making brief adjustments, checking notes, and communicating silently with the kitchen, her gestures small but precise, ensuring timing, presentation, and coordination were flawless. Ethan reflected on the contrast between her calm, deliberate command and the way power had traditionally been demonstrated in his world. Here, mastery was silent, subtle, and respected without question, not through force, but through competence, foresight, and composure. Patrons continued to respond with satisfaction, their small smiles and polite gestures testament to the atmosphere she maintained, while staff moved seamlessly, guided by her quiet leadership and presence, the rhythm of the restaurant flowing like a well-conducted performance. Ethan's attention never wavered as he watched her finish checking the tables, confirming with the kitchen, and making a final round of adjustments, every movement purposeful, every interaction carefully considered, creating an environment that was harmonious, efficient, and dignified. He understood now that the lessons Sophia embodied, control through calm, authority through intelligence, influence through subtlety, were far more profound than any he had experienced in boardrooms or corporate settings, and he realized that the full measure of her skill, judgment, and presence had yet to reveal itself, promising further insight, reflection, and respect as the day continued, leaving him captivated, thoughtful, and quietly transformed by the demonstration of quiet yet undeniable mastery unfolding before him. Sophia Blake moved through the restaurant with quiet authority, her eyes scanning each table as sunlight reflected off the polished silverware and crystal glasses, highlighting the meticulous order she maintained. Ethan Montgomery could not look away, captivated by the seamless balance of her presence, her calm decisiveness, and the effortless way she commanded attention without raising her voice. A server approached with a special request from a family celebrating an anniversary, and Sophia paused only briefly, listening attentively, then offered a solution that addressed the guest's needs while maintaining efficiency in the kitchen. Her tone was soft yet confident, her posture straight, her gestures deliberate, conveying authority without aggression. Ethan noticed how she managed the timing of the courses, ensuring appetizers arrived before drinks ran out, and coordinating dessert delivery with the natural rhythm of conversation, preemptively adjusting for potential delays. Patrons responded intuitively, their minor frustrations dissipating under her guidance, their smiles and relaxed demeanor a testament to the quiet influence she exerted over the space. Sophia crouched slightly to meet a young guest's eyes, guiding them through menu choices with warmth, clarity, and subtle encouragement, transforming an ordinary dining moment into a memorable experience. Ethan reflected on the contrast between her calm mastery and the displays of power he was accustomed to in corporate environments, realizing that true authority could be silent, deliberate, and deeply effective. She moved back to the line, checking orders, coordinating with the kitchen, and adjusting staff placements with subtle gestures and soft words, each action precise, purposeful, and immediately understood by those around her. Ethan watched how her influence extended invisibly yet undeniably across the restaurant, shaping the experience for staff and patrons alike. Each interaction she had with guests, whether smoothing over a minor complaint or confirming special requests, was executed with care, precision, and a quiet confidence that left no room for error while fostering respect and satisfaction. The staff moved seamlessly under her guidance, their movements synchronized and efficient, responding instinctively to her presence without overt instruction, the rhythm of service flowing as if choreographed. Ethan noted the way she handled complex situations with ease, anticipating needs, addressing concerns before they escalated, and maintaining composure in every interaction. Patrons remained unaware of the subtle orchestration behind their experience, responding naturally to the calm, confident energy Sophia radiated. As she approached the last table of the day, she offered brief, polite guidance, ensuring all needs were met, checking for satisfaction, and coordinating any follow-up requests with the kitchen, her quiet authority leaving a lasting impression on both staff and guests. Ethan leaned forward, absorbing the details, noting how her calm, measured presence, intelligence, and foresight transformed the space, creating an environment of harmony, efficiency, and respect. Each glance, gesture, and word reinforced the sense of control she held, demonstrating mastery without overt assertion, influence without domination, and skill without display. Sophia moved past him toward the back, her movements precise and graceful, leaving Ethan to reflect on the lessons of quiet power, leadership through calm, and the profound impact of deliberate, intelligent action, understanding that the full measure of her capability and subtle authority had yet to be fully revealed, and that the moments ahead would continue to demonstrate the depth, nuance, and strength of her presence within this space. Sophia Blake adjusted her apron as she moved toward the center of the dining room, her posture straight, her steps quiet yet purposeful, her eyes sweeping over the tables with practiced precision. Ethan Montgomery followed her with his gaze, noting how seamlessly she balanced attention between the staff, the patrons, and the overall flow of the restaurant, each action deliberate, each gesture measured, radiating quiet authority. A new table of 4 entered, slightly flustered by the noise and bustle of the restaurant, and Sophia greeted them with a calm, warm tone, guiding them to their seats while subtly coordinating with the staff to ensure their orders would be handled smoothly. She crouched slightly to engage with the youngest diner, asking a few gentle questions about preferences, and then rose, giving a slight nod to a server who immediately understood the adjustments to make. Ethan observed how the room seemed to bend to her presence without any overt command. The staff moved with synchronized precision, the guests relaxed, and the flow of service continued uninterrupted. Sophia returned to the service line, checking the status of the kitchen orders and communicating with brief, concise words that carried weight without raising volume, ensuring timing and presentation were perfect. Ethan noted the way she anticipated potential bottlenecks, addressed minor errors before they became noticeable, and maintained composure even under the subtle pressures of an afternoon rush, all without apparent effort. Patrons remained unaware of the complexity of orchestration, enjoying the seamless dining experience, while Sophia's influence extended invisibly yet undeniably across every table, every staff member, and every interaction. She moved to a high-profile table, listening carefully to a complicated request, confirming the details with soft, confident words, and directing a server with subtle gestures that ensured satisfaction and efficiency simultaneously. Ethan leaned back, absorbing each movement, each glance, each decision, recognizing that her intelligence, foresight, and presence had transformed the environment, commanding respect without authority, influence without force. Sophia checked a nearby table for any additional needs, adjusting cutlery placement, offering recommendations for drinks, and ensuring that guests felt both valued and comfortable, all with a calm efficiency that left no room for confusion or dissatisfaction. Ethan's attention remained fixed as he watched her manage interactions with patrons who could have been difficult, observing how her empathy, composure, and awareness shaped the outcome, creating harmony and satisfaction effortlessly. She coordinated with the kitchen, aligning dish delivery with conversation and pacing, maintaining flow while attending to every detail, her authority present but unobtrusive. Ethan realized that her quiet mastery was a form of leadership that he had rarely encountered, one that relied on intelligence, presence, and subtle guidance rather than overt displays of power. Each table she approached, each guest she assisted, and each interaction she facilitated reinforced the undeniable control she held, transforming the restaurant into a space of calm efficiency, mutual respect, and understated excellence. Patrons responded naturally to her guidance, their satisfaction evident in smiles and relaxed gestures, while the staff mirrored her composure, moving in quiet synchronization. Sophia continued to move through the room, eyes alert, hands precise, maintaining rhythm, flow, and dignity in every interaction. Ethan watched, captivated, as her subtle influence shaped the environment, commanding respect without a word raised, demonstrating that true mastery was expressed through quiet, deliberate, and intelligent action. As the afternoon light shifted across the polished surfaces, Sophia adjusted a small detail at the corner table, smiled briefly at a server, and returned to the line, every motion controlled, deliberate, and purposeful. Ethan realized he was witnessing a rare demonstration of skill and presence, a quiet command of space, people, and outcomes that left him both humbled and fascinated, aware that the unfolding moments would continue to reveal her depth, intelligence, and subtle authority in ways that would challenge every assumption he had about leadership, influence, and power in this space. Sophia Blake moved toward the far side of the dining room, her steps quiet and deliberate, the sunlight catching the edges of the crystal glasses and the polished silverware, highlighting the careful orchestration of the space she commanded. Ethan Montgomery observed every movement, captivated by the seamless integration of presence, intelligence, and quiet authority she displayed. A table of 6 executives required special accommodations for dietary restrictions, and Sophia approached with calm assurance, listening attentively to their needs, offering solutions that balanced their preferences with the capabilities of the kitchen. Her words were measured, her tone soft yet firm, conveying confidence without assertion, and the staff responded instantly, following her guidance with a precision that seemed almost instinctual. Ethan noticed the subtle ways she maintained timing, ensuring appetizers arrived in perfect sequence, drinks were replenished without interruption, and dessert orders were coordinated to match the natural flow of conversation, all while maintaining a composed, approachable presence. Patrons responded intuitively, their satisfaction apparent in relaxed smiles and attentive engagement, unaware of the meticulous orchestration shaping their experience. Sophia crouched slightly to converse with a young guest, offering recommendations and guidance with warmth and clarity, then rose, signaling a server with a slight nod that conveyed exactly what needed to be done. Ethan watched as she moved to the front, acknowledging new arrivals with polite greetings, guiding them to their tables while subtly adjusting the staff's movements to ensure a seamless experience. Her ability to anticipate needs, prevent errors, and maintain composure under pressure was evident in every interaction, from small adjustments in seating arrangements to coordinating complex orders with the kitchen. She returned to the service line, checking on the progress of each table, communicating with brief, deliberate words and gestures that ensured timing, presentation, and service were flawless. Ethan's attention remained fixed on her as she managed interactions with multiple tables simultaneously, balancing efficiency, accuracy, and customer satisfaction, all without raising her voice or appearing hurried. The staff moved in quiet synchronization, responding instinctively to her presence, their actions guided by her subtle authority, and the restaurant operated like a finely tuned machine, each element orchestrated with skill, foresight, and calm control. Ethan reflected on the contrast between her quiet mastery and the displays of power he was accustomed to in his corporate world, realizing that influence could be exercised silently, deliberately, and effectively, commanding respect without aggression or overt assertion. Each table she approached, each guest she guided, and each task she completed reinforced the depth of her intelligence, the precision of her judgment, and the strength of her presence, transforming the restaurant into an environment of harmony, efficiency, and understated authority. Sophia moved through the room with graceful efficiency, adjusting details, guiding staff, and attending to guests with composure, her calm influence shaping the behavior and satisfaction of everyone around her. Ethan noted the subtle cues she provided, the brief gestures and quiet words that maintained the rhythm of service and the quality of experience, recognizing that her mastery extended beyond mere management into the realm of leadership expressed through intelligence, presence, and discretion. Patrons remained unaware of the invisible orchestration, responding naturally to her guidance, their satisfaction evident in small smiles, polite acknowledgments, and attentive behavior. Sophia continued to move with precision, checking on orders, confirming preferences, and coordinating the kitchen with minimal words but maximum effectiveness, demonstrating an ability to manage complexity while maintaining dignity, calm, and authority. Ethan realized he was witnessing a rare demonstration of influence and control, a quiet mastery that transformed the space and commanded respect without demand, leaving him captivated, reflective, and increasingly aware of the depth, subtlety, and power of her presence in ways that would continue to unfold as the afternoon progressed, revealing further lessons in intelligence, composure, and quiet authority that would shape his perception of leadership and mastery within the environment. Sophia Blake moved to the side station, her hands deftly adjusting trays, lining up utensils, and checking notes on the order pad with quiet precision. Ethan Montgomery watched, captivated by the subtle authority she wielded, the calm yet unyielding way she commanded attention without raising her voice or demanding compliance. A new party arrived, a group of business associates with complicated requests, and Sophia greeted them with a steady, warm tone, guiding them to their seats while subtly signaling to the staff to prepare for the adjustments. She crouched briefly to meet the eye level of a young guest, speaking softly and clearly, providing guidance and reassurance, then straightened, issuing a slight nod to a server who immediately understood the expectations. Ethan observed the rhythm she created, the way she moved between tables, balancing attention to detail with the overarching flow of the dining room, anticipating needs before they arose, and resolving potential issues silently and efficiently. The patrons responded intuitively, relaxed and content, unaware of the orchestration unfolding behind their dining experience, their minor frustrations eased by the subtle management and thoughtfulness Sophia displayed. She returned to the line, coordinating with the kitchen with brief, precise words and gestures, ensuring timing, presentation, and service were flawless. Ethan noticed the care she took in each interaction, the way she maintained composure while addressing complex requests, confirming special accommodations, and balancing multiple priorities with calm assurance. Each table she attended, each adjustment she made, and each instruction she provided reflected a deep understanding of people, timing, and operational flow, allowing her to influence the environment and outcomes without overt assertion. Patrons smiled, servers responded instinctively, and the restaurant functioned like a well-tuned system under her guidance. Ethan realized the subtlety and effectiveness of her control, the quiet mastery that transformed the space and commanded respect effortlessly. Sophia handled the remaining orders with fluid efficiency, moving gracefully between tasks, adjusting for timing, and ensuring the satisfaction of every guest, her intelligence, foresight, and presence evident in every decision. She checked the layout of a corner table, corrected a minor alignment issue, and engaged with a guest to confirm comfort and preferences, all with measured attention and calm authority. Ethan leaned back, absorbing the lesson of quiet leadership, recognizing that influence could be exercised through observation, precision, and composure rather than force or dominance. Sophia moved back toward the center of the dining room, her eyes scanning for the smallest inconsistencies, her hands poised to intervene with subtle gestures and soft words, orchestrating harmony and efficiency with deliberate intent. The staff mirrored her composure, their movements synchronized and intuitive, while patrons remained unaware of the careful control guiding their experience. Ethan noted the way she transformed potentially chaotic moments into seamless interactions, her calm presence diffusing tension and creating order. She engaged briefly with a server, giving a nod and a few quiet words, and the team adjusted effortlessly, continuing the flow of service. Each step she took reinforced her mastery, her influence spreading quietly yet undeniably across the space, shaping the behavior, satisfaction, and perception of everyone in the room. Ethan observed, captivated and reflective, understanding that the demonstration of skill, composure, and quiet authority he was witnessing was rare and profound, a lesson in leadership expressed through intelligence, presence, and deliberate action. Sophia moved toward the back, checking on remaining orders, confirming with the kitchen, and ensuring all patrons were satisfied, leaving Ethan to absorb the depth, nuance, and power of her presence, knowing that the unfolding moments would continue to reveal the breadth of her competence, her calm authority, and the quiet mastery that defined her role within the restaurant. Sophia Blake stood at the center of the restaurant, her gaze sweeping over the room with quiet authority, the late afternoon sunlight glinting off the crystal glasses and polished silverware, highlighting the meticulous order she maintained. Ethan Montgomery could not look away, captivated by the seamless way she balanced attention to the staff, patrons, and the flow of the service, each movement precise, each gesture deliberate, radiating an unspoken command. A family approached a table near the window, slightly confused by the arrangement, and Sophia greeted them with a calm, warm tone, guiding them to their seats while subtly signaling to the staff to prepare for any adjustments needed. She crouched slightly to engage the youngest child, offering gentle guidance on the menu, then rose, giving a slight nod to a server who immediately understood the expectations. Ethan observed how she anticipated potential delays, adjusted timing for orders, and corrected minor errors before they became noticeable, all while maintaining a composed, approachable presence that inspired confidence and respect. Patrons responded intuitively, relaxed and satisfied, unaware of the meticulous orchestration shaping their experience, the subtle adjustments creating harmony and flow that went unnoticed yet profoundly influenced their perception of the meal. Sophia moved to a table of 4 executives, listening carefully to their special requests, confirming details, and offering solutions with calm precision, her tone soft but confident, her posture composed, conveying authority without raising her voice. Ethan watched as she coordinated with the kitchen through concise gestures and brief words, ensuring that timing, presentation, and service were executed flawlessly, each action reinforcing the quiet mastery she held over the environment. The staff mirrored her composure, responding instinctively to her guidance, moving seamlessly as if orchestrated, the rhythm of the service flowing naturally under her influence. Sophia paused briefly to check on a couple of tables, subtly adjusting cutlery, confirming satisfaction, and guiding servers with slight nods or hand gestures that communicated exactly what needed to be done. Ethan leaned forward, studying the nuances of her interactions, noticing how her intelligence, composure, and foresight created an environment where every guest felt attended to and every staff member knew their role without verbal command. She approached a table of patrons with dietary restrictions, listening attentively, offering alternatives, and confirming arrangements with efficiency and grace, turning potential challenges into seamless experiences. Ethan felt a growing respect for the quiet authority she exercised, recognizing that true leadership required no display of power but emerged through presence, skill, and deliberate action. Sophia moved toward the line, adjusting orders, coordinating with the kitchen, and reviewing the flow of the room, each step measured, purposeful, and effective. Patrons continued to respond naturally to her guidance, their ease and satisfaction a reflection of the subtle mastery she maintained. Ethan observed the delicate balance she held between efficiency, empathy, and control, noting how her quiet command influenced every aspect of the restaurant without drawing attention to itself. She checked a table near the corner, offered a brief reassurance to a nervous guest, and signaled the staff to adjust for timing, all with minimal movement and soft words that conveyed confidence and authority. Ethan realized he was witnessing a rare demonstration of influence and leadership, a mastery that combined intelligence, foresight, composure, and subtle control, creating an environment of harmony, respect, and effectiveness. Each action reinforced her presence, the space moving in response to her guidance, yet appearing effortless to those who did not pay close attention. Sophia returned to the center, scanning the room, making minor adjustments, and ensuring each table was attended to with precision, her quiet authority permeating the space, leaving Ethan captivated, reflective, and increasingly aware of the depth, skill, and presence she held within the restaurant. He understood that her influence, exercised through calm, deliberate, and intelligent action, had transformed the environment, and he knew that the moments yet to come would continue to reveal the breadth, subtlety, and power of her quiet mastery. Sophia Blake stood behind the counter as the last diners finished their meals, the warm golden light of the late afternoon filtering through the tall windows and casting a gentle glow across the polished surfaces. Ethan Montgomery rose slowly from his chair, his gaze following her with a mixture of awe, admiration, and quiet humility. He had spent the entire afternoon witnessing a mastery that could not be measured in wealth or titles, a command of presence and intelligence that transformed the restaurant into a space of harmony, respect, and efficiency. Sophia moved among her staff one final time, checking that each station was orderly, that each team member understood the flow of the evening ahead, her movements deliberate and unhurried, her tone soft yet confident, radiating calm authority that inspired trust and respect without a single raised voice. Ethan watched as she bent slightly to adjust a napkin at a table, exchanged a brief, warm smile with a server, and then stood straight again, her eyes reflecting a quiet pride and dignity that felt both natural and commanding. Patrons who had lingered smiled appreciatively, expressing gratitude for an experience that felt effortless yet thoroughly considered, unaware of the intelligence and precision orchestrating their comfort. Ethan approached the counter slowly, drawn by the gravity of her presence, and found himself compelled to speak, yet no words came easily. He simply nodded, acknowledging the depth of her skill, the clarity of her mind, and the quiet strength that had guided every interaction. Sophia turned to him briefly, her gaze steady and calm, and in that look was a quiet understanding, a recognition of respect earned through consistent competence and presence, a message that power and dignity could exist without arrogance, that influence could be wielded without force, and that true mastery was expressed through composure, intelligence, and care. The restaurant was still, save for the gentle hum of conversation and the soft clink of dishes being cleared, the air infused with a sense of completion, satisfaction, and equilibrium. Ethan felt a profound shift within himself, a realization that the lesson of the afternoon was not merely about recognition or surprise, but about the depth of character, the quiet courage, and the intelligence required to command respect and shape environments through presence rather than position. Sophia moved to the front, straightened a chair, offered a brief word of thanks to a departing guest, and then allowed herself a small, serene smile, a moment of acknowledgement for the day's achievements and the unspoken victories of calm, deliberate mastery. Ethan stood a moment longer, taking in the space, the people, and the subtle orchestration of the restaurant, feeling a rare combination of inspiration, humility, and emotional clarity, a recognition that some forms of power were quiet, steady, and restorative, capable of transforming not only environments but perspectives, leaving those who witnessed it with a sense of justice, order, and fulfillment. The soft golden light continued to filter through the windows, illuminating Sophia as she walked toward the back, checking the final details, her posture straight, her movements deliberate, her presence imbued with calm authority and quiet dignity. Ethan exhaled slowly, a sense of peace settling over him, knowing he had witnessed something rare and extraordinary, a demonstration of intelligence, composure, and mastery that demanded respect and admiration. The hum of the restaurant, the quiet satisfaction of the staff and patrons, and the steady presence of Sophia Blake created a tableau of quiet triumph and emotional resolution, a moment where skill, patience, and dignity converged to provide a sense of justice, fulfillment, and emotional healing. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the tables, Ethan finally spoke, his voice low and sincere. "I have never seen anything like that." And Sophia offered a small, knowing smile, a quiet acknowledgement of the lesson she had imparted, leaving the room filled with a sense of calm power, respect, and the undeniable truth that presence and intelligence could achieve what titles and wealth alone never could. If this story touched you, Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, reflect on the moments that moved you, and subscribe to follow more stories that celebrate quiet strength, dignity, and the power of intelligence.